The major recommendations that came out of this panel or this commission on special education were: one, we need to focus on results and not necessarily the process. We need to retain those legal and procedural safeguards, yes, but we need to make sure that what we're actually doing is not just making the law happy or following the procedures, but actually getting results for the students within those procedures. We need to embrace a model of prevention and not a model of failure. We don't want to wait for students to fail so that they receive special education services, but we actually have to create a model of prevention, making sure that individuals are being provided for prior to needing special services outside of the LRE, or the least restrictive environment. And that's where RTI comes into play, and we'll be talking about RTI as time goes on in the next module. Alright, we need to consider children with disabilities as general education children first, and this kind of relates to point number 2. Always inclusion, 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 inclusion. The idea is that we don't need to separate individuals with disabilities or individuals with learning or cognitive differences just because they have those differences. It's okay to be different, and we need to try to find space within the LRE, within the general education or mainstream classroom for these students. So we did have some improvements in 2004 after this commission, and the focus of this 2004 was to increase the academic achievement of students in special education, again focusing on the measurable goals and then actually providing data for those goals. And this was an idea that we were focusing on progress monitoring, so actually recording whether or not students were learning. Imagine that. We were increasing the accountability for results, so that we were making sure that the results were being shared, and that those individuals who were in charge of creating those effective results were accountable to those results as well. Streamlining the special education process was very important. Again, inclusion was the model, and trying to include students within the general education curriculum. So here's the assignment that I want you to do, focused on IDEA 2004. The summary is actually about 6 pages long, and it's broken up into 3 main parts. One is the process of education, or the process of special education. 2 is the due process that each student and family and individual should receive. And then 3, there's a special part also on discipline and the role that discipline plays within students with individual differences or learning differences. So say, for example, in the process, we need to take all this word jumble that you're now looking at, and we need to put it into simple terms. I know this is a difficult process. This is the language of legislation. This is the language of law. This is the language of academics, and it needs to be brought down to the level of the parent and the child. So I need you to read through these and think about how you are going to make this or bring this together, right? And you're going to do this for all 3 parts. 1 on the process, 2 on due process. Okay, again, tons of words. This is a challenge. So you have to read the pages and try to condense the main points down and put it in a language that you understand, parents would understand, and maybe even students would understand as well. And finally, we'll be looking at discipline. So you can see there's just tons of words, and what does it really mean? And so you may need to get out a dictionary. You may need to do some research online on what it actually means and try to put this together in a way that's meaningful to parents, students, and even yourself as the future educator.